everyone. Good evening. Good evening from Jakarta, from Indonesia. Thank you for your time to joining with us for tonight's session. I will be your host for tonight's session. So for those of you who haven't know who is me, I am Clara. Clara Emilia. You can call me Lala or Clara as you want. I will be your host for tonight. So actually, I am I am the lead of your sisters community, which is woman empowerment community, which part of Higher Maxi. So if for those of you who have like frequently join a Higher Maxi or even We Are Sisters event, you know me very well, right? Right. So for those of you who haven't know me, hi from me. Let's enjoy the session. Okay. So for tonight, we will talk about emotional resilience to face up the crisis. But before we start, before I invite tonight's speakers, I will remind you about the rule of the game. So everyone, there will be Q&A sessions after, there will be Q&A sessions after the talk or the talk from the speaker. We will open for the Q&A session. So whoever that have questions, what do you need to do is just to tap in the chat box, ask your questions in the chat box, and then when the Q&A session, I will call your name and then you can just unmute yourself. But please, I am appreciate for your respect to mute yourself during the sessions. So you are allowed to unmute if I call your name to ask your question directly to our tonight's speaker. Okay, so without further ado, let me invite our tonight's speaker. Hi, Joy. Good evening.
Hi, good evening, everyone.
Hi, Joy. Good evening. Wow. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing good, thank you. I'm excited for the session today.
Yeah. So, would you like to introduce yourself, Joy, to everyone here?
Yes, sure. So, hi everyone. My name's Joey. A little bit about me. I'm Korean. I'm Korean born, but maybe you can tell from my accent. I spent most of my life in England, but now I'm in Cambodia. I work as a life coach, executive coach, helping to coach leaders so that they're more effective, they perform better, and then they're happier and they're healthy. I also am training the first generation of coaches in Cambodia. I don't know about Indonesia, but in Cambodia, there aren't many coaches. So one of my big passion is bringing more of me, more and more coaching to Cambodia to better support the community. And I'm very pleased to be here with you today because it's a topic that is really close to my heart.
Oh, wow. That's beautiful. So I believe that you are, more familiar with people who have somehow now it's like the topic of the theme about mental health is now rising up, right?
In Cambodia, it's beginning to be a big topic, mental health.
Yeah.
And I'm very passionate about what I'm going to talk about today, which is about mental resilience, emotional resilience,
Yeah.
mental fitness, so that everybody is better equipped to deal with life's pressures. Because, we have a lot of pressures that we're facing now.
Yeah. Okay, so speaking about the emotional resilience, how do you define the emotional resilience? So what is actually the definition, the real definitions of emotional resilience from you, Joy?
Yeah, this is something I've been thinking about. To go to the root level, I think resilience is about, whatever challenges you face, life has difficulties, being able to experience those challenges, but with a positive rather than a negative mindset. And we talk about emotional resilience, and this is also about high performance and mental health as well. That comes with having this positive mindset when dealing with life's challenges, rather than, oh my God, things are terrible.
Yeah. Rather than playing in the drama, you have to be more positive, like to moving forward, kind of stuff, right?
Yes, and not to deny the fact that things are hard, because absolutely things are very hard. We can grieve and we can feel the pain, and the ability to still step forward, um, from a very positive place rather than like a disempowered place.
Oh,
That's how I define it. Yeah.
right, right. Understand that. Yeah, yeah. And it's okay, right, to feel grief. It's okay to feel sad, right?
Yes, and I actually want to talk about this in a bit more detail. It's a grief is a positive emotion. It's a necessary emotion that we need to process and go through. And negative emotions are good. They're useful. Like pain is useful. Like when you put your hot hand on a stove, on a hot kettle, then
Yeah,
you need pain. Otherwise, you're going to hurt your hand. So
yeah,
you can pull away. But to be negative emotions, I like to say, is like touching a hot stove. Are you going to put your hand there and keep feeling it? No. It's good to know that something is wrong, but to stay in that negativity is not helpful for us.
mm,
The only thing is grief is a different emotion, because behind grief is love. And so this is something that we want to process and sit with. But everything else, any negative emotion is not useful for us.
yeah. That's true. That's true. That's true. Okay, so what influenced people to build that kind of, emotional resilience? Because I believe that, as you said, that it is important for everyone. So yeah, what is influences people to build that emotional resilience then?
I mean, I'm sure everybody has as well. So I've been
Mm,
through a very tough time,
mhm,
um, because of different reasons. And, I spent a long time being down afterwards,
mm,
and replaying the negative thoughts in my head, and just it wasn't effective. And I believe that all of us have like a mission in the world. We have a purpose. We're
yes.
here for a reason, and we want to have an impact in the world.
Yeah.
And when we are in this state, if we're not resilient, we end up missing out on the impact that we could be having.
Mm,
Yes. And life is to be enjoyed,
yeah.
and to be lived, enjoy.
Yeah.
So this is why I think is important, and we're all here for that.
Yeah, that's true, Joy. Thank you for reminding us. Don't forget, everyone, we have to enjoy our life, actually. Thank you for your reminder. And yeah, that's true. Do you know, like, what are the traits that is cause of emotional resilience, actually?
This is a great question. And actually, Titu and Clara, you don't know this, but I've actually prepared a presentation, a short
Mm-hmm.
presentation, which I can cover quite quickly, which
Mm-hmm.
will, I think, explain the traits of emotional resilience
Yeah,
and how you can build it. So if you're okay for me to share that, I'd
yeah,
love to take everybody through it.
would love
Yeah.
to
Because I
share.
think it's better than me talking about it. I think it's good if we can see at the same time.
Right, yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna try. I haven't used Google Meets before, so let's see.
Okay.
Uh, this one. Oh, okay, that wasn't the right one. Let me try again. Okay, present. Stop presenting. Present now.
Reason out.
A window, and it's this one. Yeah, can you all see the screen now?
Not yet. It's presenting. And then, yeah, there you go.
Yes, you can all see the screen.
Yes, cool. Perfect.
Great, great. Okay, so really, the topic I want to introduce you is like three muscles. So you can think about three muscles in the brain that will help you build emotional resilience. And I think we're going to break it down into three components of building emotional resilience. So I want to give an illustration so that we can think about it in this way. So, why do football players miss penalties? Or why do basketball players miss free shots? Because, these are people who are top of their game. They're elite sports people. They're very fit. So it's not their physical fitness. They know how to do it technically. They practice. At home, they can get it in 100%. But when they're in a match, they miss. Why is that? It's because of mental fitness or emotional resilience. They let the stress of the moment overcome them, and then they miss the shot. Or this is also the reason why in relationships we have difficulties, because when we are at our best, we get along with each other, the teams work all well, but sometimes, like, you know, you have a bad day, you have a fight with your parents, or you're feeling hungry, or you feel trapped in your home because of COVID-19, and then you're not at your best. And so you're not emotionally resilient. And when you're not emotionally resilient, you don't perform well, you're not happy, and then you fight with your partners and your team members. And so this is the same thing that we see during the coronavirus pandemic. You know, some of us are more emotionally resilient. So when difficult things come, we can bounce back and we can respond to life's challenges from a positive place. Other people, it hurts them really bad. You know, it's like if you're running up a hill or walking up the stairs, if you're physically fit, if you're physically resilient, then you can climb maybe 5, 10 stairs and you're okay. But if you're not physically resilient, then if you climb one step, you're like, and then you're sweating. And it's the same thing with emotional resilience and mental fitness. If you're not mentally fit, if you're not emotionally resilient, then a small challenge can cause a lot of pain. So really, this is what we're talking about, and we're going to call it mental fitness or emotional resilience. As I said, it's your capacity to respond to life's challenges with a positive rather than negative mindset. So the football player that misses the penalty, he misses it because he's responding to the stress of the situation with a negative mindset, and is letting the negativity go in and is on his head. And so really, when we're emotionally resilient, we can perform better, and we have better peace of mind and mental wellness, and healthy relationships as well. So this is really important stuff. And I'm not going to go into the details how we came up with this model, but it draws on from things like positive psychology, neuroscience, cognitive psychology, and performance science as well. So it's a combination. And what we've done, why I said there's 3 things, is we've done what's called factor analysis. So basically, this is going to the root level of emotional resilience and peak performance. We've done the analysis, and let me give you an analogy. So it's about discovering the root cause and having radical simplification. For example, you have thousands and thousands of colors, but actually at the root of the thousands of colors, only 3 colors, red, blue, and green, or red, blue, and yellow, depending on what you're using. Yeah. And in the same way, based on all this research about happy people, high-performing people, resilient people, only 3 core muscles in our brains that results in emotional resilience, mental fitness. And this is what we're going to explain to you today. So one is called the Saboteur Interceptor, and we're going to talk about what saboteur means later. But it's basically the part of our brain that causes negativity and causes negative emotions and tells us situation is bad and makes you feel, you know. And the part of the brain, one muscle that we can build is the muscle to intercept. You know, the intercept is like, it's blocking and getting in the way of the saboteur. The saboteur is going to try and take over our mind, and we go, no. So that's one muscle. The other muscle we build is something called the sage. So we have another part of our brain, which is the very wise part of us. It generates positive emotions, and it brings, you know, resilience. So this is another thing that we can build. And finally, it's something that we're going to call the self-command muscle. So how many of you have stayed up at night worrying about something that happened the day after, day before, or worrying about something that's going to happen tomorrow? I know I've done that. Yes, I can see people coming on camera. She's done that too. We think we control our minds, but actually no. For most of us, our mind controls us. This is why we are awake at nighttime, worrying about the day or the situation about the COVID pandemic. So the other muscle we can build is self-command, the ability to command our mind. And we're going to talk about these 3 things more. So as I said, there is 2 parts of our brains, so saboteur and the sage. So let me tell you a bit more about that. So the saboteurs is negativity. And the sage is positivity. There are 10 saboteurs. Don't worry about it right now. And the sage has sage 5 powers. So this is all done through factor analysis, going to the root cause. And there are 10 ways in which we sabotage ourselves, you know. And there's 5 ways, powers that the sage has. And so let's talk about the Saboteur Interceptor. How do we weaken the saboteurs? How the saboteurs work is, first of all, we have, so if you think about the saboteurs, which is the negative part of our brain, think of it like a football team. And the football team has a captain. And the judge is the captain of the saboteur football team. So this is 10 ways in which we harm ourselves and keep us stuck. And the negative voice in our heads that keeps us, you know, says this is bad, this is bad. So the first character is the judge, and he's in charge. He's the captain. So what he does is a situation happens, coronavirus happens, or we're stuck at home, or our friend doesn't text us back, or doesn't like our Instagram post. The judge will say, this is bad. So the situation is bad, or the judge might say, you know, I am bad. Like, you are bad. Like, you are bad, or the situation is bad, or the other person is bad. So what it does is it judges us, other people, or the situation as bad. And what that does is when the judge judges the situation as bad, then it generates negative emotion, right? So COVID is bad, I'm stuck at home, and it says it's bad. And that generates negativity in us. And when it does that, we have some coping mechanisms. We have different ways in which we try to cope with this negative emotion. And these are the other team members of the saboteur team. They're the accomplice saboteurs. And depending on the style and motivation, there's 9 characters, 9 different ways in which we sabotage. We're not going to go into detail because we don't have the time, but I'll share the resources after the call. So, for example, you might respond to the negative emotion by trying to control everything in your life to deal with the negative emotion that you have. Or you might, when the judge judges you for being bad, maybe you try to deal with this negative emotion by trying to achieve stuff and get stuff done. You know, when the coronavirus hit, some of my friends were like, okay, during this lockdown, I'm going to get a 6-pack, I'm going to learn 10 courses, and I'm going to get a new job and make some money. That's the hyperachiever coming in. And this actually generates a lot of stress because, yes, it's coming from a place of negativity. Or, you know, I need to do a lot of stuff. That's restless. Or, you know, it might try to avoid. I have a big avoider. So my 2 big coping mechanisms is either to avoid. So I procrastinate. I know I have to do various things like buy health insurance or go buy some masks or stock up. And I just want to avoid. And I put it off. So that's in the case of coronavirus. Also, it happens in conflict. So if I have a conflict with a friend, the judge will say, this situation is bad, conflict is bad, or they're bad. And my default, my common reaction is to avoid them. So I avoid the conflict, I avoid seeing them. Or often I also play the victim. So I'm like, oh, poor me, stuck at home. I wish I could go to the gym and exercise. I wish I could go eat some nice food. I'm stuck at home by myself. This is bad. So this is another way of coping. So we have the judge and we have the saboteurs, the 9 saboteurs. And there's a test that you can do to figure out which one's your default. But let me tell you, because we're now talking about how do you then tackle this. So now I want us to do something together. I'm going to take us through a little exercise. I'll ask, you know, I can't see you all, but if you're off camera, I'm just going to ask you to just close your eyes and sit back in your chair, relax and close your eyes. Now bring to mind a time where you felt a lot of negative emotion in you. What was happening? Who was there? And just feel all that negativity from that situation. Now notice how you are either judging yourself or other people or the situation. What is wrong with me? What is wrong with them? What is wrong with the situation? And feel that negativity of that place. And I'm going to invite you to check in with your body. Notice if you feel any tension in your body, or where you feel that negativity the strongest. Maybe it's in your forehead, maybe you feel something in your shoulders, or something in your chest or stomach. And notice that it's not a comfortable feeling. Notice that it's a toxic feeling and that it's slowly killing a part of you. And this place, this is where your judge lives. Where you judge yourself, other people, or the situation. And now let all the negativity go. Let the negativity flow out from your body. If you want, you can imagine a warm rain falling on your head, your shoulders, your body. And as the rain falls on you, it washes away all of that negative energy of the judge. And let it just fall. Feel that warm rain on your skin, on your hair, on your shoulders, on your body, and just let it all go. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes and come to the room. No, you're rubbing your hands. Awesome. Yeah. I want to ask Clara, because you're off mute, where did you feel in your body where did you feel the negativity strongest?
Well, actually, thank you so much, Joy. This kind of like, like small exercise of kind of meditation and stuff like that to feel my body. So actually, first emotion that came out from me, it's about, the negativity is about anger. It is not anger towards everyone, but it is anger toward myself. So, and then I scanned throughout my body, and then I feel that a lot of burdens within me, like in the shoulder, in the shoulder. I know that maybe it's just recently I feel that struggling a lot of things to do, like work and my own work and things and then this and that. So there are a lot of things to do. That's why when you ask me to just, like screening up, like skip screening from head to toe, I feel that this shoulder is more heavier rather than the other part of the body, because maybe because of that burdens, the work, the like overwhelming work, and then less rest, so restless, something like that. So but thank you so much. I am now like aware with my own body.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing, Clara. And actually, T2, thanks so much for sharing in the chat too. Maybe everyone else can just type in the chat where you felt the energy strongest. And I'll carry on while you all do that. So the purpose of doing this body scan is sometimes with our heads only, we don't know when we're hijacked, when the judge is taking over, when the saboteurs are taking over. So what we're doing is we're giving ourselves another way of being able to identify when we are being taken over. So next time, so for example, I have a scooter. I ride my scooter around Phnom Penh, and then sometimes people in Cambodia, they drive like crazy. And sometimes they almost crash into me, and then I go, you stupid, you idiot. And then you can see already, like I have tension in my forehead. This is where my judge lives. And so what I do now is I go, you stupid idiot, says my judge. So what I do is using this information of my body to then label this as the saboteur. It's the judge. It is not me. So we're putting it externally. So that's the trick. So that's how to strengthen our saboteur interceptor. So we start to recognize the physical sensation of the judge, and you can do this with the other two, your top two saboteurs, your top two coping mechanisms. So for example, when I'm trying to avoid, I get something in my stomach. When I feel a victim, I kind of do this. And so when I'm in this mode, I know, oh wait, I'm being a victim. I'm playing victim. This is the saboteur. And then I can let it go. So this is one way to strengthen our saboteur interceptor muscle. Yeah, recognize in your body where it is and start to label and go, by just naming it, that is how you strengthen the saboteur interceptor muscle. Okay, so that's number 1 of 3. Yes, and as we move on to the sage, let me give you a bit of background. So these are actually 2 different areas in the brain. So I talk about saboteur, I talk about sage. They're 2 different brain areas. So the saboteur is the brainstem, limbic system, and parts of the left brain, and the sage is the middle prefrontal cortex, the empathy circuitry, and the parts of the right brain. So 2 different areas, and what we're doing is we can train our brain so that we're strengthening, we actually see changes in our brain when we do these exercises. Yes, and the saboteurs is the thing that motivates you through negative emotions. So if you feel any fear, stress, anger, guilt, shame, and insecurity, all saboteur. So that's when you know, when you feel any of these negativity, then you're like, oh wait, this is saboteur, and you name it. And then you want to be activating the sage, and I'll tell you how to do that next. But the sage is the thing that motivates you through positive emotions. So if you want to achieve stuff in life and have an impact and make a difference, and if it's coming from a place of insecurity, like I have to prove myself and I have to make an impact to prove myself, this is saboteur. If you're coming from a place of positivity, like I want to make an impact because I believe that the world needs more love, more peace, more understanding, then this is sage. You notice the difference? There is a different energy and you'll feel it in your body. You already have all this wisdom inside you. And yeah, who wants more empathy, curiosity, creativity? Who wants more right than left? I know I do. So this is what we're trying to do. Oh, okay, this is a good point. So often when I do this presentation, people ask, are negative emotions good for you? Because surely negative emotions, like if I feel bad about my body, if I'm looking at the mirror and I go, oh, coronavirus, I gained like 5 kilos. Oh, I'm ugly, I need to go exercise. Is that good for you? Because surely it makes you exercise, so it's good. And I say no. Is pain good for you? Like I said, it's like keeping your hand on a hot stove. If you feel that negativity coming, because you're looking in the mirror and going, oh, I gained so much weight, it tells you something is wrong. And then we get rid of the saboteur, because actually when we're driving out of negativity is not going to be in a good place. Yeah. Yeah, so it's helpful as a 1-second as alert signal, but staying in negative emotion, it hurts our ability to see clearly. So when the saboteur brain is activated, it's a survival functions. We lose creativity, we lose performance, we lose empathy. So all of that stuff. When we come with the sage, then we're clear-headed action, we can respond in a creative way. So for example, if you look in the mirror and you see lots of fat, and then you respond out of negativity, you're very uncreative. So you might think, I need to go to the gym now and like just run every day for an hour, and then it's very single focused, and you can't get creative. You don't see the real solutions. When you come from a sage place, then it's like, oh, actually, what else can I do? Maybe I need to look at my diet. Maybe I can do buddy up with a partner, and you can respond out of more positivity and a creative space. So that's the saboteur interceptor. The second muscle is building the sage muscle. And how you do that, and I'm going to introduce you one thing. And the sage is the region of the brain associated with positive emotions, peace and calm, clear-headed focus, so all the benefits of emotional resilience. This is what we're talking about building. So you can, instead of trying to do things, because of the negativity, and your head is cloudy, you know? If you've had an argument, if you had a fight with someone and you're trying to think of something to do, so you had a really big fight with your boyfriend, girlfriend, or your parents, and you're like, I need to do something. You can't think clearly, you know that. Because you do something in this mindset, later on you regret it, because you can't see clearly. The sage is clear-headed action. It's like Jedi, if you've seen Star Wars. It's another way to think about it. The sage is like Jedi, yeah, and sees the big picture. And the sage operates from the sage perspective. This is one thing I'm going to teach you and pass on to you because it's easy to remember and easy to apply every day. So the judge perspective is that everything is bad. I'm bad, you're bad, and the situation is bad. It judges. So that you remember the judge is the captain of the Saboteur team, and the sage, which is the wise part of us, the Jedi in our brain. The sage has a way of looking at the world, which is that everything is, every outcome or circumstance can be turned into a gift or opportunity. So let me give you an example. When the coronavirus hits, the judge will go, this is bad because I can't, my holidays are canceled, I have to take classes online, and you know, I'm going to miss people, I want to touch people, I can't do that. And it just judges the situation as bad. The sage will ask, okay, how can I turn this into a gift? How can I turn this into an opportunity? So it goes, what can I do what am I learning from this? That means I can be in a better place because of this. Or how am I growing stronger because I'm going through this? Or what action can I take now in this difficult period? Because, you know, we're not saying this is not difficult. You know, it's not a fairy tale. Yes, this period is difficult and it's hard and it's painful. And what action can we take in the middle of this difficulty that's going to make it, that's going to outweigh the pain of today? So for example, you're doing all these amazing classes for this Higher Maxi community. And actually, maybe you do this online, and so more people are available to take these courses because they're used to being online. And so and actually, maybe people are so inspired by some of these sessions that actually, yes, the COVID situation is bad, and because you took this bold action in the middle of this COVID time, there's so much inspiration that comes from it, and you're stronger for it. Yeah. So an example for me is I started a coaching school in Cambodia online because I didn't have to worry about physical venue, and people were moving on from their jobs because of, you know, the financial burden, and they had to be let go. And they came to me and said, can you train us? And I said, okay. So they turned this difficult situation of losing their job into a gift of inspiration by taking inspiring action. They asked me to set up a school, and I was planning on doing it next year, but I did it this year because it was needed. So this is, you know, every outcome or circumstance can be turned into gift or opportunity. And, you know, and I want to say here, sometimes the situation is so painful that you don't know how it can be a gift. And I'd say, don't worry about it now. If something is so big, don't worry about it now. Yeah. And actually, so if I may share something about my life. So I lost my younger brother 6 years ago. And, you know, if you asked me at the time, can this be turned into a gift? I would have said, you know, screw you, and, you know, punch the person. How dare you say that? And now looking back, actually, you know, it was not a gift that my brother died, not a gift. But actually, because of that experience, I looked for something that gave me purpose. I looked at how I was living my life, and I wanted to do something more meaningful. And that was actually the start of my journey that leads me here to be here today. And I'm giving this, and I'm living an amazing, fulfilling life and impacting people. So holding that, you know, I still have the grief, and it was not a good thing that my brother died. And I was able to now see actually something came from it. It was an opportunity came from it. So I can also appreciate that at the same time. Does that kind of make sense? Yeah. Okay. Great. Yes. And actually, yes. Which perspective is true? Some people ask, is a saboteur this is bad? Sage says this is a gift. You know, people ask, but how do I know which one is true? Isn't the judge, when the judge says the situation is bad, isn't it true? And I say yes. Yes, but whichever you believe will become true. Whichever one you put your focus on will become true. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Okay, and the final one. So we've talked very briefly about the Saboteur Interceptor, which is learning to recognize the physicality and also understanding yourself more, the ways in which you hold yourself back or the coping mechanisms that is not sage, which causes you to not be emotionally resilient. That's one, recognizing it. Two is building the sage powers, building your sage, but practicing the sage perspective. The more you practice, how can this be a gift? How can this be a gift? The stronger your sage brain gets. Okay? And finally, the third is self-command. And I'm going to take you through a quick exercise, if I may. So I'm going to again ask you to close your eyes, sit back in your chair, 2 feet flat on the ground, your spine straight and your chest open, and eyes gently closed. Take your right hand and place it on your heart. And letting go of any thoughts in your mind, just feel the heartbeat, the sensation of your heartbeat against your hand. You may need to move your hand or push a bit harder to feel your heartbeat. And feel the organ that gives life-giving blood and pumps it around your body. Letting go of any thoughts you're having, place your right hand on your stomach and feel the gentle rising and falling of your stomach as you breathe in and out. Now bring your thumb and your middle finger together, like an OK sign, and rub them gently with such attention that you can feel the bumps on your fingertips. And when you're ready, you can gently open your eyes. And if you can, if you want, you can type in the chat how you're feeling now. I love that Clara's already got her own way of doing this.
Yeah.
And feeling the warmth of your hand.
Yeah, it's like this.
Yeah. How do you feel, Clara?
Well, actually, I'm feeling better, a lot better, because the moment in the first exercise, when you say to let go all of the all of the burdens, all everything from every part of the body, I let them go, like with the light that shower up from the top, from our head, then and that starts from there. I'm feeling more calmer. And now when you did the second exercises again, I feel more centered. So yeah, I feel more grounded. Yeah, that's what came out from me.
Awesome.
Awesome. So everyone, I encourage you to just type in the chat box. How do you feel? Whether it's okay if it's feel negative or positive, anything that you are feel can just tap in the chat box. Whether you are feel happy, calmer, or you feel anything that is come out from your emotions. Because joy has, like help us to just shut down our mind a little bit, shut down our mind to just feel or connect with our heart. That's why our heartbeat, you can feel it like boom, 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 boom.
Yeah. So what we're doing now, if you did a brain scan right now, an fMRI in an fMRI machine, what you will notice is the saboteur brain, the different regions of the brain, different areas of the brain, is ever so slightly quieter, less brain activity. And in the sage brain, you will know a higher activity in the sage brain. So this is an exercise that helps you do that. And oh, where's the thing gone? So what I've done is something we call it PQ reps, or reps of grounding exercises. Is does anybody meditate or do any mindfulness? Yeah, you see the similarity, right?
Yes.
So what we've done now is the building block of mindfulness. So what we've done is almost asleep. Love it, Sophia. What we've done is, with the saboteurs, there's 10 saboteurs, and there's 5 sage powers and the sage perspective and the saboteur interceptor. We have the sage and self-command. This is factor analysis, going to the root level of what works. And this is the root level of mindfulness and meditation. The 10 seconds of physical sensation, focusing on one physical sensation, whether it's your heartbeat or breathing or rubbing your fingertips like this. It's 10 seconds that is the building blocks of mindfulness and meditation practices. And I want to say, how you build this is, where do you meditate, Clara, and when?
Are you asking about when or where?
Yes, when and where.
When and where? When actually, when I start meditating last year, and where actually, yeah.
Clara, what time in the day?
Oh, what time? Okay, so what time? Actually, there is no specific time for me. If I can make it in the morning, I have time in the morning, then I'm doing it. But if it's not, maybe like right before I go to sleep.
Yes. And thank you for sharing that, because this is the thing.
Yeah.
Meditation is great. And meditating in the morning is great because it kickstarts your sage brain and it quiets the saboteur brain. So it's a good start to the day. But when do we face most of life's challenges? It's not at home. It's not in the beginning of the day. It's not at the end of the day. It's not in a quiet space. So most people meditate in the morning in a very quiet space or in the evening in a quiet space. So what I encourage you to do is to do not like 10, 15 minutes. You don't have to do a big thing, but 2 minutes of these grounding exercises 5 times a day, spread out through the day. And so what this is doing is training our brain to have this self-command, to be able to command our mind away from saboteur to sage in everyday life when we really need it.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. So to recap, how it actually works is this. So you commit to doing 5 times a day, 2 minutes of breathing exercises, grounding exercises, whatever works for you. I like the fingers and breath, 5 times a day. Also, during the day, now you know what the judge is like, where the judge lives. When you notice the judge or your other saboteurs, no, you're the saboteur. So you intercept it and say, I'm not going to let you take over. After you recognize it, then you do some PQ reps. You do some grounding exercises when you recognize it. And then you choose to ask. The judge is going to say, oh, this is bad. You say, no, the judge says it's bad. I'm going to do some grounding exercises, and I'm going to ask myself, what is the gift in this situation. How can I turn this situation into a gift? And this is really, we can spend a lot of time going into detail, but I wanted to give you something that you can take away from this session. How do you build emotional resilience in this model, in this way? So committing to some grounding exercises a few times during the day, labeling the saboteurs when they come. When they come, do some grounding exercises again, and then ask, what is the gift or opportunity? Yes, and Kyla, it's true. It's difficult to concentrate during the meditation because actually it's like when your mind is everywhere, so you're not practiced at it. So it's normal. Actually, the exercise is commanding that mind to come back. So when you notice yourself drifting, just let it go and try to focus again on the physical strength. And you're not doing it wrong, you're not failing. The fact that you have this thing means that there's a lot of weight that you can train against. Every time your mind drifts away, just bring it back. Every time you do that, you're building your muscles. When I first did it, I didn't know how much my mind was everywhere. When I got introduced to this, I was like, oh my God, my mind is a mess. And afterwards, it got better and better. That's what I say. And yes, so just to recap, if you feel any negative emotion, stop and ask yourself, where is the saboteur? Where is this the judge? Is this some of my other saboteurs coming up? Do some PQ reps to quieten the saboteur, because you do 10 seconds, your saboteur is quiet, the sage comes up. And activate the sage. Assume the sage perspective that every problem can become turned into a gift or an opportunity. Also, I talked briefly about the sage powers, and we don't have time to go into that detail. And you can read about it in Positive Intelligence as a book. But it talks about some things like when you think about what values you want to honor, or when you try to be creative in the situation, or when you take some decisive action with clear-headed focus, this all lives in the sage brain, and this activates the sage. But for now, just remember, if you feel negativity, stop, do some PQ reps, and assume the sage perspective that every problem can be turned into a gift and opportunity. And generate the gift by using the sage powers like empathy, curiosity, creativity, and calm, clear-headed action. Whenever you do that, you're strengthening the brain, sage brain. And some people ask me, is it really possible to just shift from saboteur to sage, even in tough situations? The answer is yes, but actually, depending on your emotional resilience, how mentally fit you are, how quickly you can do that will be different. Yeah. And so this is key. So what I've given you today is 20% of what it will take for you to actually be emotionally resilient. Inside, anything you learn is only 20% of it. The other 80% is muscle building. So this is why I call it 3 mental muscles: Saboteur Interceptor, self-command, and sage. How do you build muscle? You don't do it just by going to the gym once. You do it by consistent practice. And so success requires intense initial practice. So really, you can't beat a gang of 10 bandits by sending 1 new fighter every day for 100 days. It actually requires some very intense initial practice. It's not that intense, okay? To be honest, it's 15 minutes a day. Basically, it is like spend 2 minutes of PQ repping throughout the day. And within 1 or 2 months, you're going to notice a huge difference in your ability to respond to life's challenges with a positive mindset, not be taken over by their saboteurs, which is what we mean by not emotionally resilient. When people are not emotionally resilient, what we're really saying is they're taken over by saboteurs, by the judge and the accomplices, and generates lots of negative emotion. So, as I said, recognize a saboteur. Any negativity is a saboteur. Do some PQ reps and activate your sage by taking that perspective. And do some PQ reps at different points during the day, and then you're going to be mentally more fit. I'm going to stop presenting that. And I know I said it will be brief, It's taken a bit more time, but I just wanted to give you that model so you understand and some concrete things that you can take away.
Wow, that's amazing, Joy. Thank you so much for the brief. Not a brief, actually, you really deliver a good presentation, a good knowledge for us. You know, everyone, we are going to open the Q&A sessions. Maybe if anyone have a question, you can just tap in the chat box and then I will read and call your name and then you can unmute yourself to ask directly to Joy. So while we are waiting for the participants, I have a questions actually, Joy.
Yes.
Is that okay for you?
Yeah.
Okay, Joy, when you tell about the self-sabotage, do you think that, do you feel that is coming from the ego? Because sometimes people like me personally, I ever, like kind of wondering where this thought came from. It is coming from the ego or it is coming from my intuition. So what do what do you think about it? How do you feel?
Yeah. Yes. And so I love that you brought it up, Clara, because you've obviously done a lot of research and you're obviously a very wise person and you have awareness of this area of psychotherapy, about the ego, and it's great. Yes, it is coming from the ego. Saboteur is another way to think about it. And how we phrase it as the saboteur is because actually thinking about the ego, the superego, the id, and what the ego versus the higher self, it can be quite complex for people to understand. So this is why we refer to the saboteurs and the three muscles to do it. But yes, absolutely, you're right. And so I've put in the chat, positiveintelligence.com. On there is a great resource for you to use to find out more about your saboteurs, to find out how much of, so you can also test your emotional resilience. There's a 2-minute quiz that you can do, which will tell you how much your brain is working for you versus against you. And it's a great resource to use. So, yeah.
Thank you, Joy. It is a very, very good sources. So guys, do you have any questions to Joy? I mean, I believe that you are wondering with yourself even because Joy has just, helped us to connect ourselves with ourselves. So, okay. Right. Tito, can you unmute yourself to just ask directly to Joy?
Yeah. Okay, Joey. Thank you for the session. It's really cool. So it might be I was in the situation that's really hard. Yeah, we know that people always experience the hard moment. But sometimes before I know what is toxic positivity and sage, maybe sometimes people ask me to just your problem is not more than me. We kind of the toxic positivity. And the stage I heard that turn the saboteur into the stage. Yeah. Nah, what's the difference about these two?
Thank you so much for asking.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much for asking, because actually toxic positivity is a real problem out there. It's like good vibes only, no negativity allowed, and everything is great. If you have a problem, and if you think there's a problem, then you're a bad person. Why can't you just be positive? It's very different. Toxic positivity and sage has a very different energy. I would actually say that toxic positivity is almost like a judge, saboteur coming in and judging you as bad. Oh, we can't, because you might be experiencing some grief or experiencing your pain and expressing your pain, and it's saying that is bad. And it sounds like it could be an avoider or a hyper-rational saboteur. And these saboteurs are clever. They will hide behind, they'll try to say they're sage, but actually it's toxic positivity. So this is why it's important to get to know your saboteurs and how it shows up inside you and how it might show up inside other people too. Because toxic positivity is a saboteur in disguise. Yeah.
Do you get your answer, Tito?
Yeah, thank you. I know that. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you so much for bringing this, questions, because sometimes people are, like they tend to do a positive, but it is turned to be like a toxic positivity. Yeah, that's really, yeah, many, like many people, and then they will, like me, for instance, like, when you say that, what, to turn issue, or to turn negativity to give. Well, actually, I have a example for that, because of the COVID, and then we are all allowing to working from home, right? And then I'm starting to, to have a plans. So I kind of like a gardener now, because I have many, like, few plants in my balcony to, yeah, just like to build a new habit in this COVID. But then sometimes, but then like day by day, I am feeling happy, I am feeling enjoy, to just, to give them the water and stuff like that. And then, but then I feel that it's a burden, because I have to wake up early, and then I have to, to give them water, and then after that I have to, if it's not, then I have to do this and that, and then I forget about it, and then it's kind of feel guilt in my heart. That's why sometimes that have to be, like, have more conscious about that. That's why the toxic positivity sometimes remind me to just, to just connect with yourself again. What is actually, what is the objective, and what is the goal, that you have something new habit in your life, something like that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And to build on that, Clara, and just to address Titu's question more directly,
Yeah.
one of the sage powers, the sage's powers, and this is one of the, when you, it is empathy. Empathy is a sage power, and toxic positivity doesn't have empathy.
Oh.
Toxic positivity is a lack of empathy. Is that, when you empathize with someone, it can't be toxic positivity, right? Does that make sense? When you have true empathy with yourself, with the other person who's going through a tough time, that's the difference. Yeah.
Wow, that's cool. Okay, we have few questions here. Right, Puspita Dewi. Okay, Puspita Dewi, can you unmute yourself?
Okay. I want to ask a question. If there's a negative situation, we try to think it as a sage way, like the presentation just now, but the outcome is still negative. How's the solution, and how do we cope with that outcome? Thank you.
Oh,
Thank you for the question. And so I want to say two things. One is to empathize with the question is coming from a certain place, right? And so I want to empathize with that you might be going through a difficult time. And I don't want to get rid of that pain and the fact that people might be going through difficult times. And yes, and when it could be that you could see the judge coming in, and the judge will say the situation is negative. Does that make sense? So it will be the judge, Saboteur's voice, that is saying the situation is bad, the outcome is bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just remember, what you believe, it will come to you. So yeah, like Joey explained in the last presentation, the answer is always about what you believe. So
yes.
yeah. Hope that answer your questions, Puspita. Or do you have anything?
Yep, that's answer my question. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So so we move to the next question. Oh, hi, Christina. Oh, Christina, you like treating like a secret questions. Right. Okay. So you can unmute yourself, Christina. Are you there? Hi, Christina.
Hi, Miss Clara.
Hi, nice to meet you again.
Who is it
Go on.
clear? Sorry, could you hear my voice clearly? Oh, okay. Thank you. Hi, Joey. It's really nice to see about your presentation. What kind of impressive presentation. Thank you so much. And this is the first time
Oh,
people. So thank you so much for your presentation.
Your voice is broken. It's like delaying something.
I wonder if it's better, Christina. I would love to hear your voice. You have a great voice. And I wonder, because the connection is bad, if you want to just type the question. And thank you so much for the gratitude. And if you could just type the question, then we'll just answer it on the chat. No, it's okay. Just type it in the chat and we'll address that.
Okay, I will write. So
thank you.
I better write it in the chat. Okay.
Yes, please. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, Christina. I'm sorry, Christina, because maybe the connection is not that good, so that we cannot, hear your voice clearly. Okay, while you are typing in the chat box, maybe I will go to the next questions from Mutia. Hi, Mutia. Can you unmute yourself?
Hello, Miss Clara. Good evening.
Hi. Good evening.
Yeah, hello, Mr. Joey. Good evening. My name is Mutiana Mirafitri. I'm Universitas Syah Kuala Aceh in Indonesia. So I want to ask you a question. Can you hear my voice clearly?
Yes, correct. Go on.
Okay, thanks. Sometimes we don't like to socialize ourselves with toxic people. Like, you're toxic. I don't want to be friends with you, like that. But sometimes we don't realize that we ourselves are toxic too. How to know if we are toxic so that we don't hurt anybody's feelings? Thank you.
Thank you so much for the question. Thank you so much for the question.
Yeah.
And it's coming from a very wise place. I want to first of all acknowledge that you recognize actually that, sometimes we have saboteurs that we bring into relationships, as much as we see other people's saboteurs. And I really want to encourage the use of the word saboteur, that we see people and we empathize with people, and because toxic is such a violent word. It's very emotive, and I've used it before. I use it too. And sometimes it's better to recognize other people's saboteurs, because that takes a different tone, and it's more empathetic towards them. So, we're all struggling with our own saboteurs and our own self-sabotage, and we all have some bits that we don't like about ourselves. The judge will call ourselves toxic. The judge will call other people toxic. So I would invite you to, to quieten the judge down and go, he's toxic, I'm toxic, says the judge, and actually empathize with yourself and start there with the empathy and see the whole beautiful person that is underneath all of those saboteurs. And yes, actually, you're great because you have awareness of that you have saboteurs. And because you have awareness, you'll be able to manage it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so the reason why I say toxic, because the toxic word is so in our culture today, on these days. So I'm sorry if toxic is a harsh word. Maybe I will call it with another word later. Thanks for the suggestion. And thanks for the answer. It helps me better with realizing myself. Thank you.
Thank you. And don't kick yourself or don't beat yourself up for using that word. It's okay. It's okay. And it's a symptom of the world we're in. The world is a very saboteur-driven place, and the media is a very saboteur-driven place. And actually, saboteurs trigger other people's saboteurs. This is why I'm gifting this session to you, because we need more sages in the world. Saboteurs trigger saboteurs. Sages encourage other sages to come out. When we respond to people with empathy, then they're more likely to be empathic back to you and other people. So thank you so much.
Wow. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate the answers. Thank you.
Thank you, Mutia. Thank you, Joy, for the answer. It's very, sharp answer, like straightforward, because the thing that you have to do in the first place is to acknowledge it. Sometimes we forget about it. It's just like, we are really afraid of the future. and then we are really forget about what is happening in ourselves. That's why acknowledgement is very important. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. So I move to the next question. Kayla. Hi, Kayla. You can unmute yourself.
Hi, Joey.
Hi.
Yeah. Actually, I want to ask about sometimes when we feel like failure always coming, we know that we have to stay positive, right? But we sometimes feel the failure from ourselves and also the disappointment from our family, and how to manage ourselves, to always release the stress and everything. Yeah.
That's a very, very good question. And so this is, I'm so glad you asked it, because I'm going to also share one way of doing it. And I want to put a disclaimer that if I'm going to show you a method, and if you find yourself getting a bit overwhelmed, like it's too much, then you can stop and just try to clear it away with some PQ reps, with some different PQ reps. But what you can do is, so sometimes emotions only last 90 seconds in our bodies. Emotions is a physical reaction that we have. These neurons firing a sensation in our body. And if we don't recycle it in our mind, it goes away in 90 seconds. It changes to something else. Emotion is like energy in motion, but if we don't experience it, it stays. We process it, but we keep repeating it in our heads, then again, it stays again and again and again. So what you can do is to do PQ reps on the negative emotion. So for example, when you feel angry, where do you feel the anger? What is the physical sensation of anger? So you're not thinking about the situation, you're focusing on the physical experience that you're having in your body. So when I feel anger, I feel it here. And so what does it feel like? What's the temperature? If it was a shape, what shape does it have? What's the color? And again, just, using your imagination, really focusing on the sensation in your body and it's like mindfulness, it's doing the PQ reps, physical sensation of that feeling. And do that for maybe, a minute to 90 seconds and see how you feel afterwards. And why this is powerful is you're using the negative emotion to train your muscles, your positive intelligence muscles. Yeah. So another way to think about it is I get very nervous going to give a speech. So my heart is pounding, pounding, pounding. So my favorite PQ rep when I'm nervous is to feel the heartbeat, because I'm using my physical sensation to do PQ reps on it. And actually that helps to calm my saboteur down, increase my sage. And this is the thing, when you focus on the physical sensation rather than the story in your head, then it can pass. And I'll ask you to try it. Yeah. But that's the key. If we try to do it in the here, it repeats, repeats, repeats. Focus on the physical sensation. Yeah. Cool.
Oh, thank you, Kayla. Okay, thank you, everyone. So thank you, Joy. So I believe it's 11. So, Christina, I forgot. Do you still want to ask the questions or how? Because we are about to end the session.
Hello, can you hear my voice?
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't know. I can't type on the chat box.
Maybe you can try asking.
Didn't reason. Yeah, so I can ask directly. So my question is about expectation. Well, sometimes I feel stressful or worry because I have expectation of something that I really want, but otherwise the result didn't go well like I really want. Then I stay in some kind of negative emotion for a long time. So how about if I choose to expect nothing and accept anything? What about it? what do you think about it? Is it good for nurturing the positive emotion? And the second one is, how about if we try to write like a gratitude journal for maintain our mental fitness? Thank you so much for the chance.
Thank you so much, Christina, for the questions. So the first one was so this is probably my two questions. I forget the first one. It was a very good question, and I had the answer. So do you remember, Clara? It's about.
So the first question is about expectation. How you manage expectation?
Yes,
Yeah,
and this is great, and about letting go of expectation, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
100%. Good. So Christina, your question and answer is demonstrating judge perspective versus sage perspective. So the sage perspective is, who knows what is good or bad? Who knows what is good or bad? So letting go of the expectation and being open to whatever comes and turning that into a gift or opportunity. That's perfect. And the other one was the journaling. Journaling is an excellent idea, Christina. And if I link back to the model, why it works is when we journal, we're processing stuff, and we might think about meaning, what does this mean to me? And this lives in our sage brain. So journaling is an excellent way to keep you mentally fit as well. Cool.
Okay, perfect, Joy. That was for the first questions. And then, have you got your answer, Christina? Christina?
Well, okay. Thank you so much for the answer.
You're welcome.
Hello?
Yeah.
Sorry for the bad connection.
It's okay. It's okay. At least you can ask your questions then. Thank you, Christina. So thank you, Joy. Wow, I'm very enjoying the sessions. It's a very it's a very good session. Thank you so much. So I believe that everyone have no questions for more, or do you have anything before we end the session? Or you don't want to end the session, guys?
And if you have any more questions, you can also reach out on Instagram, because you, Hiram, actually have tagged me on Instagram. You can reach out to me if you have any more questions. I'd love to answer.
Yeah. Perfect. So everyone, thank you so much. Okay, thank you, Joy. Joy, you are such a wonderful person. Thank you so much. It's been an honor for me to host the session and share the experiences with you and with all participants here. Yeah, that's okay. Do you have anything to say at last?
Yes, thank you. Well, firstly, I want to say thank you for inviting me and having me on here. This is a message that I'm very passionate about, and I'm spreading to as many people as I can. Thank you for being here as impact makers, change makers. Really, you are doing world-changing stuff when you step into your sage, and the world really needs it right now. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Joy. Thank you, everyone. Okay, so wow, the total participant is 111. So if you can open the chat box, there is a feedback form you might need to to fill in for our better improvement. So I'll just let you know for few events this weekend. Actually, for this Sunday there will be a IG live. There is will be held in We Are Sisters Instagram. And we will talk about oracle cards. Do you know the oracle cards? Oracle card is the tools that you can ask your messages from the universe actually. So we will conduct IG live on Sunday morning, 10 a.m., 10 o'clock in the morning Jakarta time. So everyone, you can join with us with We Are Sisters, and also is supported by Higher Maxi as well. And then, that's it. That's the small information for me. So thank you so much for your time, everyone. So I'll see you in the next event. And I'm Clara. I'm signing out. Bye-bye, guys. Have a nice weekend. Bye.
Thanks so much.
Much.
รู้ว่าเธอไม่ค่อยมีใจยังไงเธอเองก็คงไม่สน